one of the informations known about the Igorots during the olden times, aside from they are wearing G-strings, they are known for their kanyals, they are known to eat dogs, is that they are also known for their headhunting traditions. And in this episode, we are going to dive deep and learn about the headhunting traditions of the Igorot Tribes.
Welcome to another episode of Maestro Speaks podcast.
The equivalent of love is forgiveness. You cannot love without forgiveness.
Lumabalin ka nagiti yung generation anda kumamot nga mapasaran.
Nagdag nga morning mo ako El Maestro.
Tanya de ko na tayo may isa.
I-appeal mo.
Buhayin.
Apil ko man ka nagiti ko. Pipi ako man pilit ganyan. Tutok na.
Di pa nag-approach mo rin?
Approach. Beta. Nang nangag ko nga ibagbagan ka lang ni Lola kay din.
You better know the substance of the law.
Bayaw mo nang ibagas ni Manong.
And who cares if people have dark skin, right?
Kaanakan iti with expiration.
You find any inspiration in this, we have done, and you have done your noble part.
El Maestro Speak.
So, headhunting. We'll be talking about this. And then drinking coffee here. So, I had a hard time discussing this one as it has this dark and see in the perspective of a modern human. This is a little bit, it's not in my it's not in my league, I should say. Even though I'm a full-blooded Igorot myself, I find this practice to be insane. But nevertheless, this is a history. This is something that happened in the past, and whether we are not going to discuss it or not, I mean, this is still part of our tribe, and I think looking deeper into it and understanding it will teach us to understand more about ourselves, right? So, headhunting in the Britannica Encyclopedia, it's the practice of removing and preserving human heads. Headhunting arises in some culture from a belief in the existence of more or less material soul matter on in which all life depends. In the case of human beings, this soul matter is believed to be particularly located in the head, and removal of the head is believed to capture the soul within and add it to the general stock of soul matter belonging to the community. So that is the main reason why headhunting is being practiced. Now, take note that headhunting is not just practiced by the Igorots alone. This, in the olden times, is being practiced by all, and I mean not all, but some cultures around the world. So, headhunting is often connected with, or I mean, they goes hand in hand with cannibalism. But according to my research, well, if there are some new research here, please don't tell me, and we can take a look at it. But according to my research, cannibalism rather was not practiced by the Igorots in the olden times. So, just an overview of it. Headhunting is removal of the head, just like what it says there, because we believe, I mean, people believe that the soul, I mean, the soul matter that is residing in the human body is located in the head. Now, when you get that head, that soul will stay in the community. I mean, it can bring good luck, or it can add strength to your spirit if you're the one who took the head. Now, this also considered as human sacrifice? Now, we will take a look at that later, as there are a lot of reasons why Igorots do practice this. Now, headhunting may go back to Paleolithic time. I don't know how to pronounce this. Okay. Now, let's start with what are the areas long time ago that practices the headhunting tradition before we go to our locality. So first is in Europe. The practice survived until the early 20th century, like 20th century, that may be the 1900s, in the Balkan Peninsula, where the taking of the head implied that the transfer of the soul matter of the decapitated to the decapitator. So for example, if you're the one who took the head, the soul of that person whose head was taken will transfer into you because you decapitated that person. I should say this in first hand. This topic is a little bit graphic, so if somebody's not, should not listen to this, then I suggest you better turn off the podcast, find another podcast, or find another episode from this podcast that you can listen to. And if you're old enough to understand what we're talking here, then we can continue, and you can continue listening. The complete head was taken by Montenegrins as late as 1912. So, yeah, as late as 1912, being carried by a lock of hair worn allegedly for that purpose. In the British Isles, the practice continued approximately to the end of the Middle Ages in Ireland and Scottish marches. So that is in Europe. Now, moving on to Africa. In Africa, headhunting was known in Nigeria, whereas in Indonesia, it was associated with the fertility of crops, with marriage, and with the victim's obligation as a servant in the next world. Now, I want you to take note of this. We're in Indonesia. They practice this for the fertility of crops, with marriage. This has some connections to how we had that tradition as an Igorot also. In Kafiristan, now Nuristan, eastern Afghanistan, headhunting was practiced until the end of 19th century, so that is in the 1800s. In the northeast of India, Assam was famous for headhunting, and indeed all peoples living south of Brahmaputra River, Garos, Khazis, Nagas, and Kukis, formerly were headhunters. Headhunting in Assam was normally carried on by parties of raiders who depended on surprise tactics to achieve their ends. So that's how they hunt. Assam hunt by ambushing their prey. In Myanmar, Burma, several groups followed customs similar to those of headhunting tribes of India. The Wa people observed a definite headhunting season, when fertilizing soul matters was required to growing crops, and wayfarers move about at their peril. So if it's during the planting season, farmers would go around to hunt for someone who they can decapitate the head. And if you're the unfortunate one moving near their area, then that's what's gonna happen to you. In Borneo, most of Indonesia, the Philippines, and Taiwan, similar methods of headhunting was practiced. The practice was reported in the Philippines by Martin de Rada in 1577 and was abandoned by the Igorot and Kalinga people. Now, Igorot, we use this term, so I'm not sure why it was separated, but we use this term for people living in the Cordillera. So, Kalinga people is also considered an Igorot. In my opinion, some tribe would rather not call themselves Igorot, but in my opinion, that's the case. Now, people of Luzon, I mean, the Igorots and Kalinga people, or the Igorots in general, for that matter, only stopped the practice of this one in the beginning of 20th century. That will mean 1900s. In Indonesia, it extended through Seram, where Alfers were headhunters, and to New Guinea, where headhunting was practiced by the Mutu. In several areas in Indonesia, as in Batak country and in Tanimbar's island, it seems to have been replaced by cannibalism. Those are the areas that practice what we call the headhunting tradition. Now, moving on, we have another areas. South America. I mean, before we go to South America, there's also part in Oceania, headhunting tended to be obscured by throughout Oceania, headhunting tended to be obscured by cannibalism, but in many islands, the importance attached to the head was unmistakable. In parts of Micronesia, the head of a slain enemy was paraded about with dancing, which served as an excuse for raising a fee for the chief to defray public expenditure. Later, the head would be lent to another chief for the same purpose. In Melanesia, the head of a mummy was often mummified and sometimes worn as a mask in order that wearer might acquire the soul of the dead man. Like we said a while ago, the bottom line of understanding this is that the belief that the soul matter of a person is residing in the head, and taking the head is like capturing the soul of the other person. Headhunting was also practiced in Australia and in New Zealand. The heads of the enemies were dried and preserved so that tattoo marks and facial features were recognizable. This practice led to a development of headhunting when tattooed heads became desirable, curious, and the demand in Europe for Maori trophies caused pickled heads to become regular articles of ship manifest. So in New Zealand, this became a business because it became very popular in Europe, wherein they're buying those heads, pickled heads, like they were preserved and they were shrunken, right? They shrunk the head, and then it was sold as a novelty. Now, in South America, the heads were often preserved by the Jivaro by removing the skulls and packing the skin with hot sand, thus shrinking it to the size of the head of a small monkey, but preserving the features intact. There again, headhunting was probably associated with cannibalism in ceremonial form. That's in South America. So that is headhunting. Now, there are a lot of people who practice that one, and then there are reasons to it, like what was discussed a while ago, and then some anthropologists would say would try to decode what was the reason for this, and they found it to be on this this one is for harvest, for a ritual of the warriors, and for good luck. And then for dominance. Dominance means that when, for example, there's an enemy, you took the head, you beat that enemy. Now, killing that enemy is not enough. You have to dominate even the spirit. So, the only way that you can do that is to take the head, so you can dominate the enemy even after life. Another reason is displaying your manhood, right? So these are some of the reasons the anthropologists discovered on the reason why these tribes around the world practice headhunting. Now, aside from that, we have what we're calling the trophy killing. So, like for example, it's like the hunting of animals, wherein you take the head, you bring it to the taxidermist, where they can fix it, and you can pin it on your wall. It's your trophy for hunting some animal. Now, in this case, hunting a human, right? And the last reason is cannibalism. Now, cannibalism is the practice of eating a human flesh, wherein I tried to look for that, and I was thinking that maybe that was one of the reasons why Igorots practice cannibalism. But according to some sites that I visited, and some books, including the book of my favorite author, writing history about the Philippines, the American William Henry Scott. I never found any account of Igorots practicing cannibalism or doing headhunting because of cannibalism. So, good news, my tribe is not a cannibal. Okay. So, aside from in Southeast Asia, in our country, aside from the Igorots, the other tribes also certainly has practiced headhunting. The Longot, the Iban, and the Dayak. Accordingly, in the Southeast Asia, practiced this morbid practice in the olden times. Now, there are also practices of this in China, accordingly, and also in Taiwan. Now, the most famous one that we can see that practice headhunting. I mean, it's not headhunting per se, but in Japan, samurais, right, in the battle, when they fight with other samurai, they also decapitate the head of their enemy. So we can also consider that some of it mean headhunting tradition. For some another reason also, it's it's like a trophy hunting maybe for people that see it. And those are the people that practice head hunting. Now, in the Igorot culture, so it's very important. It's very important to look at this in take a look at the trace. I mean the source, or where did the Igorot come from? Now, in the story of migration in the Philippines, we have what you're calling we have the Negritos, wherein they accordingly walked using or came to the Philippines using the land bridges, right? Now, a lot of things has been said about their way of living, and so on and so forth. And then we have this Indonesians, Indones A, Indones B, and the Malays. Now, it is believed that the Igorots came from the group of Indonesians who migrated to the Philippines. That is why I was taking, as I told you a while ago, to take note of the reasons why Igorots conquered, Indonesians practice reasons why they practice the headhunting tradition, right? So, in the Cordillera, I mean, and that's the reason. Maybe just to clarify this one, maybe those tribes that came from the Indonesia or from Indonesia practicing that one way back in Indonesia, and then it was brought here because they are, I mean, you know, they're Indonesians, and that it was the belief that they were born to, and then when they transferred from place to place, they have to, they still continue the tradition. Now, as to the reasons why, there are a lot of reasons why people in the Igorot people practice this one, and let's take a look at it. So it was not done randomly. There are a lot of reasons, like Igorots, a lot of tribes of the Cordillera. Now, when we say Igorots means people living in the mountain. It came from Gulut, and the E means living in that place. Now, there are a lot of tribes there. They wear G-strings as the same, but people don't know that in one mountain, in one area, say for example in Benguet, there are a lot of tribes of Igorot here. We have the Kankanai tribe, we have the Ibaloy tribe, and you can also still divide that one. In Kankanai, we can divide it to, we have the Kankanai of the south and the Kankanai of the north, and we also have the Kalanguya, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of tribes and the Cordilleras, and they were collectively called Igorots. Now, we have this one reason here, a broken peace agreement. And if one tribe, for example, and tribe A and tribe B came to an agreement that they are not going to go against each other in a battle, and they should live harmoniously, and someone from either of the tribe broke that one. Now, a punishment, or the other tribe of course will seek vengeance, and sometimes the vengeance will result to a head being separated from the neck, and that's one of the reasons why there's a headhunting. A serious personal plight is one also of the reason. And here's another one, a dispute involving rape. So, if one person has illegally, or sexually assaulted someone, so he used his other head to destroy another human, and then that person will expect that the tribesman, or the warrior to where that woman belongs to, will be hunting for him to separate the other head from his body, right? So that's one of the reasons of headhunting. It's like a punishment, a revenge for something, for an injustice happened to a woman. And of course, another one is murder. There was this one story of a woman murdered and raped, and this has caused a tribal war. This is the legend of one of the place in Mankayan. It has caused a tribal war, and of course, if there's a war, then for sure a lot of heads will be falling off the neck. Another reason of headhunting by the Igorots is the theft caused by a visitor or rivals from the other tribe. So, if you have stolen something from the tribe when you were passing by, then most probably, if you cannot escape that area, you'd be probably losing your head. So that is why in the olden times it is very dangerous to steal or take something that is not yours. They in this song that is being played in the background, that's why there's the culture that have grown out, that this one here, awan tiag tatakaw, means there are no thief in that area of the Igorot land. So even if your water buffalo will roam around, nobody's gonna get it. And now that came about by the reason that if you are caught stealing something, you might be losing your head. Okay. So whoever was caught stealing, may it be a visitor or from the other tribe, for sure it's expected that he'll be losing his head. A vendetta is declared and retribution becomes a matter of honor to the tribe and the individual. So a group searching for justice or retribution will probably be looking for someone's head. That those are one of the reason of headhunting in the Igorot tribe. Another factor includes the desire for a bountiful harvest. I have read this research a long time ago that there are some farmers in the Igorot land. I'm not going to say what tribe it is, but let's just call it the Igorot tribes. I will not like to cause an argument here, but one tribe from the Igorot is that after planting, because they desire to have a bountiful harvest, what they're going to do after planting is that they will go to other places and try to hunt for human where they can cut the head and then bring the head and of course give it as an offering to the gods of harvest, right? That is because they want to have a bountiful harvest. Now if you're a wary traveler and you happen to encounter these guys, then you will be so unlucky, you're losing your head. That is long time ago, not now, of course. The desire for greatness in minds of the descendants, one of the reasons why, to collect the wisdom of other people and the greatness in the minds of the descendants. That is one of the reasons also that these headhunters, and we call this headhunters in this place buso. One of our artists here, a singer also, Mr. Rosendo Salvasio, has made a movie about headhunting. And it's actually a very good movie. I like it. Though I'm not sure if you can find it in YouTube, but it's a great movie to watch. It's entertaining, and it has the story of the reasons why one tribe in the Igorot land, Igorot country, practices headhunting. Of course, we also have reason of headhunting is to increase wealth. They're trying to offer these things to the Anitos and expecting that the Anitos will bless them with much wealth, and so they can become a kadangyan, for example, right? Another reason is to ensure that when they go hunt and go fish in the river, that there will be an abundant wild game and fish that they can catch. That's one of the reasons why this guso go and hunt. Now, a personal story of mine is that um, the the grandfather, I mean the forefather of my father, his family name is Sakpa. Accordingly, is from Ifugao. So they're living in the Ifugao area. Now, when I was born, I, I was born in Benguet, and when we were tracing, I was looking at this video that was made by one of my cousins, and one of the let's say a local genealogist of the family has traced that the Sakpa family came from all the way from Ifugao, and then he migrated to Bacon. Now, what was the reason for that one? It's because of this thing we're talking about right now. It's because of headhunting. So, his parents, this the the person where the Sakpa family came from, his parents were, I mean, living in Ifugao, and they were a victim of headhunting. Now, when they, of course, they buried the parents, and one night they happened to see that there are still some headhunters observing their moves, and they're still observing them. So that Mr. Sakpa gets so scared that he ran away and ran so far from Ifugao. Just imagine, if you can look at the map right now, you can see that from Ifugao going to the municipality of Bacon, that is quite far for legwork, right? So he kept on running and running until he found the place that he think he is safe. I mean, that's in Bacon, and that's where he lived until the day he died. Same story is to be told by the families of my grandmother, the wife of my grandmother from my father's side, from Bugias also. Same, there was a tribal war, and then parents got all his families, I guess. Most were killed and got their head decapitated because of headhunting, just the same. And to save himself, he ran away so far that from Bugias, well, this is a little bit near, from Bugias he came to Mankayan, and he maybe he said he thought that he is safe there, and then stayed there for the rest of his life. So those are, I came from the family, or a victim of a family who was victimized by headhunting. One of the reasons why it's very difficult for me to discuss this one, but still, like I said a while back, is that still this is a part of our culture, that whether I'm going to discuss it or not, it is there. And the only way to, the only way we can go about it is to discuss it, and see what are the things, or what are the reasons why people long ago are practicing this. And moving on, we have here people long time ago, or Igorots long time ago, also headhunt, so that they are ensured that the whole community will be healthy, right? And of course, headhunting also happened to favor the women, like for example, to promote fertility for women. Because in the olden times, the more children you have, of course, especially if that's whether that is a woman or a boy, I mean a girl or a boy, the more you have is that means that your community will continue to grow, and those boy and girls will be the future warrior of your community. So it is very important in the olden times that women are fertile, that they can produce children. So, and one way of ensuring that, according to them, is to headhunt and offer it to the anitos. Another reason also of practicing is the test of what they call this one, manhood.
This podcast is brought to you by Millennial TECH. Millennial TECH at ma-repair the printer, man-install the CCTV, repair the cellular phone, computer, and other electrical appliances. For more information, mabali na ibisitahan nyo daida at Kubo Building, Proper Abatan, Bugyas, Benguet, or you can contact them through their cell phone number 0910-255-0382, or you can visit their Facebook page, Millennial TECH.
All right. So, a test of manhood. So, in some group, a man could only marry after he had beheaded another man. So that is, it's a prerequisite before you can marry. Before you can marry is that you have to go out and hunt someone's head. Now that is a little bit bloody as a as a requisite for marrying someone. I am not sure if I will, if I'm living in the olden times, I am not sure if I will ever get married. That's the requisite so you can marry. I don't really think I would ever. Maybe I will die single if that is oh my goodness, that is the requisite for someone to be married. Maybe in the olden times, I mean, like, if I'm living in the olden times, I will be the most coward, and I will be the most coward, useless person in the tribe, maybe. So going back in this marrying, before cutting head before you get married, is that they don't just cut someone's head. They do it as a contest. So say they go out, all of these men will go out, single men will go out, and then they have a contest of who will be able to go catch someone, behead it, and bring it home. So beheading a competitor means that they are graduates from childhood and are skilled enough to protect wife and family. So cutting the head will show you your bravery and your skill, your ability to protect your wife and family, and spreading it outward. If you can protect your wife and family, you can also protect your tribe, right? That's one of the reason why Igorots practice headhunting. So, in the headhunting practice of the Igorots, most, if not all, but most of their enemies' head were cut by a battle axe before the wounded man dies. If a fighter in the scene never gets a chance to behead someone, he will be permitted to cut off the head of the deceased body and thus be eligible to have for a unique head taker tattoo called the chaklug. So, if you're a headhunter, some tribes do practice this. I'm not sure if it's I didn't have enough research for this one. If all Igorots practice that after you have cut someone's head, that you are deserving to have a tattoo. Now, tattoo, as compared nowadays, tattoo is just for decoration for your body. It's like you want or you got hurt nowadays. If you got hurt and it's so painful, you create a phrase, take it to tattoo shop, and then you tattoo it to your body. You've fallen in love with the most beautiful girl in your eyes. You take the picture and you tattoo it in your body, things like that. So it's just like, it's an art nowadays. But long time ago, it means something. Like this tattoo in Bontok, they call it chaklag, is that it is a tattoo for someone who have experienced cutting the head of an enemy or cutting the head of other people. So if you're in a battle and you cut someone's head, then you deserve to have this chaklag. Now, other people, because if you are in battle and you have no chance to cut a head, then you are allowed to cut the head of those who died, and you can receive this tattoo, they called chaklag, right? So, after cutting someone's head, there is what we call, they have to activate the spirit of that head by performing a ritual. So after you got the head, there is a ritual that should be practiced so that the power or the spiritual power that will come from the act of cutting the head and the spiritual power from that head of the warrior, especially if that is a war, can be taken by you. So there is a ritual is being done before you can have that. There are a lot of, I'm planning to continue this one and try to see in each of the tribe the reason and identify each tribe's reason for headhunting. But maybe soon, so in the future we can do that one. But for now, that is one of or among the many reasons that the Igorots long time ago practiced headhunting. Now, when did headhunting stop? How was it stopped? So it was stopped when the Americans came to the Cordilleras and began introducing, of course, number one is education, and of course trying to introduce the modern way of living to the Igorots. There was one story. If you're familiar with the Benguet State University, which was, I am not sure what's the name before, La Trinidad Agricultural School, if I'm not mistaken. There was an American principal way back in the olden days that had a fight, a quarrel, a misunderstanding with a group of Igorot students. Now, accordingly, this principal is not treating the students right. say for example, he calls the student to work during off hours, Saturdays, Sundays, etc. And he let them work overtime and take them to Camp John Hay to do a cultural presentations to American visitors. Now the Americans, I mean the Igorots, did not like this for the reason that, of course, they're being taught in school to adapt the modern life, to let go of those traditional way of living, and yet they are going to Camp John Hay to present the old ways of their living. So they didn't like this. So they had a meeting, and accordingly, this principal still, he didn't respect the student. And I think one student, this is an anecdote, I'm not sure if it's true. One student has said that you seem to forget our traditions, that if we have enemies, we cut their head. that was a statement. Accordingly, that was uttered by one of the students. And after that, accordingly, they took the principal and then throw him in the river, alive, of course. And one student helped the principal go home and clean up. That's one of the, one anecdote wherein Igorots use the headhunting practice to scare someone. And as a matter of fact, I know, when, we all make mistakes. And when I was teaching way back 2000, then I was teaching English to some foreign students. I'm not gonna say what nationality. We had a misunderstanding. I was insulted by what he said, and I just uttered, I think he insulted Filipinos in general with what he said. And then I cannot remember exactly what he said. He said that the teachers are stupid. And then I told him, then why are you here? And then he said that he's just here because he will be going to America, because Philippines is so bad, things like that. I got so insulted that I said, if we have enemies here in this place, especially particularly in Baguio, we cut their head. I just uttered that word out of, not thinking at all. I was so glad that he cannot understand English well, so he did not understand what I said. and until now, those are one of those moments where I'm not so proud of myself, but I just came out of me. Maybe that's the Igorot part of me. So those are the reasons why Igorots practice headhunting long time ago. And this is the dark past of Igorot, dark practice that we are thankful nowadays that is not being practiced. Going back to this one, until now, again, just to reiterate that there was no concrete evidence of cannibalism that is connected to headhunting in the Igorot culture. Okay. So that is I think that should be put right there, that Igorots did not practice cannibalism, though admittedly they practiced headhunting. And we have seen this one, and just to point out there that this is a dark past. Every culture has a dark past. The Americans have the slavery, and that is the dark part of their history, and still they have to talk about it because if we forget things from the history, then we are deemed to repeat it ourselves. And talking about this dark history of our culture, tribe, Igorot Tribes will help us to, solidify our brotherhood. And whatever tribe you are, I think it's time to let's just forget what is in the past. Let's talk about it, share what is or what has happened in the past. But of course, we have to learn to let go of those dark history or dark things that is attributed to us in the past. Let go of it. And of course, we should also see the good practices that came from the past, and that's what we are going to adopt. Of course, one of the dark practices that we have to let go is headhunting, right? I don't want to do that nowadays. That is just so morbid and dark. And of course, thanks to Christianity, we now can say that we are better human now. We know a lot better than our ancestors. And I think there are wisdoms from our ancestors that we can take, and there are wisdom that we should let go. And this is one of it. And that's why we have to talk about it. And we have to, after talking about it, we have to know that it's not good, and we have to let it go and think of better ways that we can promote our culture better. So that is my 2 cents for this topic. And until next time, when we have another episode of this podcast, thank you so much for listening. This is El Maestro Speaks podcast, leaving you with the saying, without looking back to our past, we cannot get to the future. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll be seeing you next time.